Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here we are. The SensAmeenah podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Ameenah, and this is our very first podcast. We've been talking about doing this for at least probably about a year and a half, 2 years now. Before we moved Richmond.
What did we?
Before we moved from Richmond.
Oh, that's
yeah,
crazy.
we came up with the name before we moved here.
Yeah, so probably about maybe almost 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
About 2 years.
Yep.
Finally came to light.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
There it is.
So you have to excuse us because we're weirdos to begin with. So we're gonna be talking about a variety of topics, not any just one. So this podcast isn't just based on spirituality or just religion or just politics or sports or any of that. Like, we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff. Sometimes gossip. Sometimes we just get bored and probably fly off the handle and talk about fuck shit. It's just gonna be a lot of different things because
it's gonna be a show about whatever, like Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And if you hear children crying in the back and planes flying and stuff like that, it's because we're doing it outside.
Natural habitat.
Yeah, natural habitat. So
it's a very large. It's not a really large complex, but it's pretty noisy.
Yep.
Where we are, because we're right by a main intersection, a military installment, and then the freeway is right there.
Next to us.
Right.
So.
And we live on the border, literally, so a lot of the traffic is going towards Mexico.
Yep.
So I guess, so this first podcast, we're just going to be talking about a little bit of everything. I think one of the things I was thinking about talking very, very first was what's up with Kanye's new church, man? This guy is he just made a guest appearance to Joel Osteen's mega church.
Yeah.
This is crazy to me because these are the very things that Kanye always said that he would never do in all of his music. He was totally against this type of thing.
I don't know if he was against the church. He's always like.
I'm not talking about church in the essence of church as far as being a spiritual person. I'm talking about the very essence of large capitalism at that extent.
I don't get it. What you mean?
So, in most of his music, he's talking about how, like, he doesn't necessarily agree with, like, how the structure works.
The structure of the church?
A structure of just society.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for him to go this way, to me, is super left field. But
for me, the thing that makes it super strange is like no more than 4 months, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, wasn't he going on TMZ and wow. If you heard her spit like a sailor, that's
I got allergies, going on right, you guys.
Don't let her tell you that the spitting is her allergies. She's just has no home training.
Outside, I don't feel like I have to. I'm outside. I need to have home training for.
She's not a lady.
I'm not a lady. I never look. I'm just me.
Anyhow, so but like just like a couple of months ago on TMZ, they were interviewing him, and he was talking about how he is a god, and he was expressing that the fact that he finds it frustrating that people get upset when he says that he is a god, but they would be okay if he said he is a nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the very idea of expressing yourself as God is directly contradictory to Christianity and Christian beliefs. As a matter of fact, it expressly mentioned that referring to yourself as God is is punishable by hell. Like, you know what I mean? And then to go from that extreme to like the other extreme is like, it's crazy to me. Like,
He's a Gemini.
He is a Gemini? Is he?
So
that makes a lot of sense. My baby mom's is a Gemini. She's crazy as fuck.
Hey, no, I'm not talking about in any derogatory sense. Like, I love my Geminis, okay?
No,
Air
y'all
signs.
are crazy. Fuck
I'm an
that.
Aquarius, so I get it, you guys.
No.
I
I don't get it.
I get it. No, I totally get it. I mean, people. Okay, this is the thing. People don't. I know. I'm totally getting off the subject, but since we're in Scorpio season, in a couple of days we'll be in Sagittarius season. But since we're in Scorpio season, these are some of the signs that people don't like. They don't like Gemini and Scorpio, but I think it's they don't like Gemini and Scorpio and all these other certain signs because they speak about things that other people wouldn't speak about. They talk about things other people wouldn't talk about. They speak their truth. They embrace their shadow sides, and a lot of people can't do that. So let's getting back to Kanye, in a sense, he expresses a side that most people will be uncomfortable expressing. I guess in a sense, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Wouldn't you think so? Like, would you be comfortable with some of the things like that he does?
Oh well, yeah, that's true. He's very he's open, very open with his thoughts.
Right.
And he just says what's on his mind, and he doesn't really consider too much what the outcome's gonna be. And I don't think he really cares that much. But my whole thing is not that. Like, I've always respected that about him as an artist, and as an intellectual. That's what we've all loved about Kanye. Like, we all loved when he said George Bush don't care about black people.
Which he don't.
And then we loved when he went on stage and took the microphone from Taylor Swift and said Beyonce had the best video of all time. We all loved that shit. I don't know if some people was giving him hell. I don't know who it was, because I honestly didn't give a shit.
She
I was
still
like,
throws shades now. To this day.
I don't even know what's up with that. But I'm talking about, black and his problem, because he said that, black people turned their backs on him after that. And, Obama said he's a jackass and all that type of shit. And, I believe Obama shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have opened his mouth and, gotten involved in that. When you ostracize people from the community, then obviously they have nowhere else to go. Then whoever embraces them feels like home. So now you end up having people like Trump, manipulate and use you for negative purposes. Mm-hmm. But we've always loved his outspokenness and his freedom of mind. But it's just it's just the direction that he's going is strange for me. I respect it, mm-hmm. right? Because I don't have a problem with him doing his religious thing and being a Christian and all of that. It's just strange to me, because I grew up a Christian, and when I made the discovery of spirituality, it was like awakening. It was like my eyes had been lifted, and I almost felt upset that I had been lied to for so many years, and this veil had been lifted. And now, you know what I mean? Once I knew the truth, I didn't feel like I could ever go back. I could never go back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'm not understanding what's going on here. If it's just whoever is embracing him, he's just willing to, represent that. And maybe the Christian church embraced him at a time when he really needed it. And so that's what he's representing now. But
we were talking about the song that he put out. What was it? Last year? The year before last year?
That was years ago. That was when I first met you. When was it? Because I remember I was in university.
Nah, this song is way newer than that.
What, we living in the 21st century, doing something
No. The one where he's talking about he like it this way and that way. That's recent. Talking about how freaky he is. Yeah, that's recent. Yeah, that's recent.
But yo, see, even that I can get, because it's all right. Because he even went out and spoke about it. He's how he's had a pornography addiction for
since 5.
Yes.
He was 5 years old.
I can relate. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
But growing up in that type of environment, when you're in an enclosed environment religiously, you tend to, when you find yourself, you tend to start acting out.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Or even when you're encompassed in that, you kind of act out. It's kind of like when a parent shelters their kid, tells them they can't go out, they can't do this, they can't do that, and the kid eventually is going to end up going out. He's going to sneak out of their window or sneak out somehow. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. Like, religion does that to you, you know?
Right.
It makes you want to act out.
So you're
For
saying
certain
that his pornography addiction was a result of maybe his overbearing religious household?
Possibly. Now I don't know how his household was, but maybe that was maybe that was an outcome of it.
Right.
You know, and who knows what could have happened to him? You know, sometimes people act out of things that has happened to them.
Yeah.
You know, maybe somebody was touching him at that age.
Yeah,
he never talked about it.
I get that too. So like that was my point. Just like you know, I don't fault him for that. Where he made a song about like, you know, some freaky shit, because that was a past album. That was a past project. So in between that time and now, he's had this, you know, this religious epiphany, and now he's speaking about, you know, the things that he was addicted to and like the negative parts of hip hop and what hip hop promotes and whatever. And now he's trying to promote different things with this new album.
You don't think this is probably maybe just a
marketing?
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. This is the thing about religion and spirituality. I feel like those are areas where you should generally just give a person the benefit of the doubt until proven differently. Like, I could have my opinion and I could be like, this whole shit seems suspect. And to me, it does. Like, it just seems like he's trying to use this to get back into good graces with society, and not only society but black society, because he knows how much the church means to black people. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, by embracing Jesus and doing all of this type of stuff, all of this preaching, like, he's trying to work his way back in there. And I feel like that's all it is about. But I feel like at the same time, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. It might be genuine. But when you sit in the same breath that you're talking about Jesus is king, you sit down in that same interview and talk about, at this point, it's a given that I'm the best artist that ever lived on the planet Earth.
And changing his name.
He changed his name to what? I never heard about this.
Yeah, what was the name? I gotta Google this, because he just talked about changing his whole name in reference to this being the greatest person.
This old son is wildin', bro.
I'm telling you, this dude is, yo. It's crazy. It's crazy to see him go from what he was to what he is now.
Yeah, it's been a lot of weird bouncing around back and forth. And
oh, here we go. He wants to change his name legally to Christian Genius Billionaire Kanye West. Christian Genius Billionaire Kanye West? Yo.
Yeah, see, that I understand why him and Trump clicked now, because like,
they're egomaniacs.
They were both the exact same person. Like, they're just the same person in different bodies. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if Trump's a Gemini.
Yeah.
He is a Gemini?
Yes.
Oh my God. You see what I'm saying? My baby mom, Trump, Kanye, you guys, you gotta throw the whole horoscope away.
Come
like
on,
that.
man. My youngest son is a Gemini. He ain't this bad.
Oh boy. Has he grown up yet?
Yeah, come on.
We gonna see.
Come on, man. There's a lot of good Geminis out there.
Like, you know, there's two sides to every sign, right?
Right.
So, like, you know,
just embrace the other side a little bit more. The crazy side.
So yeah.
No, I don't know. Okay, so when we talk about zodiacs, you know, we're not just one sign, right? We have a rising. We have all these other things going on in our natal charts, you know. Yeah. So who knows what's going on with them? Who knows what kind of household they grew up in, you know?
Yep.
We know where Trump grew up, what kind of family he came from. We know what
David Duke's type family.
There we go. You know what I mean? Kanye used to put his mom on a pedestal. He had a really close relationship with her. Now, I don't know what his relationship with his father was like, you know?
Yeah, because he's still alive, and that doesn't seem to matter.
Right. I never hear about his dad.
The last time I heard him talk about his dad, and that was in that new song off of his album where he was like, I was talking to my dad, and he was like, and I started bugging out, and he was like, that ain't Christian, and I was like, ah. I was like, what the fuck, bro? This thing is nuts. But the crazy part is I had to listen to that whole project, and I loved it. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't have nothing bad to say about it. It's just like the person. Like, he is a genius, and it just makes it harder for you to call a person a genius after they just keep on claiming it so much. It's like, bro, you've proved you're a genius year after year. People were calling you a genius year after year. You don't need to keep doing that, but...
No, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like I said, it's egomaniac. That's arrogance. A lot of people don't like arrogance. I mean, there's some people who don't mind it, but to that extent, now it's just like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're pushing the envelope a little bit more. You're making it distasteful. Like, people don't like shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, my ex-husband was like that, and it's nobody wants to be around. Well, like I said, it just depends on your taste in people. I know I don't like to be around people like that. Yeah. It irks me, to hear you talk about yourself all day and I and nothing about we. It's always about yourself,
Yeah.
And then you have this certain demeanor about yourself where you just have like, I'm better than you demeanor,
Yeah.
And it makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, they got a inferiority, like a superiority complex, you know what I mean? Towards everybody. Like, nobody can do anything right except for them.
Right.
And that's toxic.
I don't
know if you've ever been around anybody like that.
Like, people who are just focused on themselves?
Not even really just focused on themselves, but just to like the 100th power. You know what I mean? Like, everything's about them, like, always.
Yeah,
they can never do anything wrong.
I don't know. Have I known anybody like that? I don't know. I think I probably have met lots of people like that, but like, what happens is once I notice that, like, I just distance myself from you immediately, and then I'm not even gonna remember you after that, because it's not like we even had enough interactions for me to like even register you as something that should be remembered, or like, you know what I mean, stored in my data bank. I'm not into that at all. Like, you know what I mean, that type of shit is just a no. But yeah, so
no, it's good. It's good that you pick up on that frequency, because a lot of people stay in those types of relationships, with friends, with people,
Right.
To the point where these people are literally, degrading them every day, becomes a mental abuse. It doesn't necessarily even have to be physical abuse, because I'm not saying physical abuse is I'm not downplaying physical abuse, because physical abuse is of course horrible, you know what I mean? But mental abuse is just as bad, though.
Right.
Because that scars you for life. Things that you have to keep on going to therapy for. Things that keep on replaying in your head, thinking that you're not you're not shit. You're just a piece of shit. You ain't worthy of nothing. These type of people, the Trumps. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. These types of people will literally have you feeling a type of way about yourself for the rest of your life, unless you fix it.
Right.
And it's not their job to fix you. Even though they did it, it's your job to fix yourself. You have to try to figure out mentally a way to get away from that situation and to fix yourself.
Right.
That's a form of domestic violence in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, speaking of fixing yourself and Kanye, we have our good friend Jay-Z, who's had a long history with Kanye, and I bring up Jay-Z because yesterday, was it yesterday? No, it was Saturday. Mr. Cap had his supposed NFL workout.
He had his workout. Yeah.
They're saying that Jay-Z had something to do with it. Jay-Z still has not come out and said anything.
He said he was pissed off at Cap.
No, this is the thing. I've actually got read a report today that said that's fake as fuck. Like they said a source at Rock Nation says Jay-Z never spoke.
He never said he was pissed off?
Spoke to anybody.
It's all over the place.
Right. So they just ran with it. So somebody just made up that story and then just ran with it. And Jay-Z hasn't said nothing about that, and he hasn't said nothing about, because even when he
did not push his work out.
No, even when they announced that, like that Jay-Z might have had something to do with it, he didn't say nothing about that. So he didn't confirm or deny that, and he didn't confirm or deny that he had a problem with Caps, because Jay-Z never responds to nothing. Like, you know what I mean? He just like, if it's bullshit, he's just like, fuck that, bro. Like, I'm not even saying nothing about it. Like, I'm not even gonna address it until it gets to a point where, you know what I mean? Like, I really have to address it. But but my whole thing is, you know, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about that whole thing with the NFL? Like the whole situation, the workout situation. You think the NFL is actually trying, or they just out here pump flexing?
I don't understand. Now I understand your love for football. Once you're in it, a situation like that you've been doing this your whole life. You've been trying. You know what I mean? Like that's your love, that's your passion. This is what you want to do. But after how they've been doing you, after this whole situation, and especially how they came at you with that contract, I would have fell back after that. Like,
well, we should clarify for people who don't know, because like that's the whole thing. Like, the way they pitched it was like he was being a diva, and like, you know, he didn't like the contract, and he was being difficult and all of this type of stuff. Let's clarify what happened, because when I first read it, I was like, man, Cap, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, just go and do your fucking workout. Like, what is this? You've been crying for your job for like the past fucking 2-3 years, and now they give you a shot to get it back, and you want to act all diva-ish, and it's because they didn't publish the full details. Come to find out today, they didn't want to guarantee him a spot on the NFL team, and they wanted him to relinquish all of his rights to speak about the injustices in the NFL forever. Not only did they want him to relinquish his rights,
generational.
It was just I have never in my life heard of a generational contract. They said his children are not allowed to speak about it. His children's children are not allowed to speak about it. His children's children. It sounded like a Bible verse, like, and he begat so-and-so and begat so-and-so. I was like, yo, what the fuck is really, this is crazy. Like, how you ban an entire bloodline from speaking about a topic. I was like, that is nuts.
This is what it is, though. This is how white nationalists work. This is how white systematic oppression works. They don't want anybody. It's just the NFL. I will never watch it again. That used to be one of my favorite sports besides basketball. I will never do this to myself again. Like, they're basically slave masters, dude. What is draft day?
It's like
same thing when they used to do the fucking slave auctions.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You're on the chopping block. They come and buy their player, you know, buy their enslaved person, and here, go out on the field and perform for me type shit.
And I hate when people say, oh, how could they be slaves when they're getting paid millions of dollars? Yo,
what?
Slavery is not about your financial status. It's about your freedom. It's about your freedom. Nothing to do with financial status. Like, if those slaves were being paid, so let's say that the first slaves that arrived here were being paid $5 billion a day, whatever, $5 billion a day, but they were still forced to work. They were still beaten every day. Like, they didn't have no rights. Like, they weren't allowed to speak out about the conditions of their job or whatever.
Exactly.
That's still slavery.
You had to sign a waiver for this money. There are certain things that you could and couldn't do.
Right.
but you're supposed to jump around and be happy because you got this money.
Right. Like, and I get what you're saying. Like, so you don't even think that
I don't think he should have went back. No,
should have tried out no more. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
they're gonna treat him the same exact way they did before.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna act like this isn't an issue. And my whole thing, like I said a couple of days ago, I know it was very cliche, but they weren't on Tim Tebow's ass when he was putting Bible scriptures on his fucking cleats.
And he was kneeling down for that too.
for abortion and shit.
Oh yeah, wasn't he kneeling through the anthems?
Kneeling through anthems, all the shit. What was he? A good American?
That wasn't an issue.
A good American.
That is crazy.
A brother in Jesus Christ type shit. It's okay, but we know why.
Mm-hmm.
We know why. It was okay for him. He's an all-American citizen, all-American football player. Come on, man. We were just talking about LeBron and the Black Lives Matter t-shirts, and he was walking around on court. He didn't give a fuck about being fined.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think like we already spoke about this, but I think it's just because the NFL doesn't have any forward-thinking or leadership-minded players. There's no players that have come and transformed the way that the game is played, or that the way that the business is done, or anything like that. These guys, they get in, and like, I don't want to shit on them or try and downplay them or make them seem like they're less than, but I'm just saying, like, these guys, they just want to get their money. They get their money, and they just want to take care of their families, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I respect that.
You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that, but there has to
become a time where you're not enabling the same system that is oppressing you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I agree with taking care of your family. Everybody got to get their money. Everybody has to take care of their family, no matter if it's blood or not. Mm-hmm. Some people want to take care of their hood. They want to go back and provide to the community that brought them up. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Give back. I'm all with it. Mm-hmm. But when are you going to show these people that shit? It ain't right.
Right.
Because if you keep on leading your own people astray, you keep on letting this shit happen, we're never gonna break the cycle. It's never gonna happen. Because everybody's gonna, if they ain't moving, I ain't gonna move. Mm-hmm. Crab in a barrel situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? He can't do it. Pull him down. You know what I mean? Like, this shit is crazy.
And the funny thing is, though, like, NBA was the exact same until LeBron. LeBron changed that he put the power in the hands of the players. Like, players were being traded back and forth like fucking grain, like cattle. Like, you didn't have
these are people.
Any power.
You have to move your whole family.
Yeah.
No matter how much money, they're still fucking human beings.
Yeah.
We're gonna trade you from fucking Charlotte all the way to fucking Seattle. Now you gotta up and move your whole family to a whole nother fucking city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
In the middle of a season.
Right. So, like, you know, I feel like what the NFL is missing is a LeBron, because LeBron got in, and then he brought his boys with him, and he had his boys trained in different aspects of the business, so that the people around him who were moving in the business were people from his neighborhood that he grew up with. One of the guys who is disrupting the NBA the most is his best friend. What's the name? Rich Paul, or I don't know. I don't.
Chris Paul?
No, not Rich.
Paul
Chris,
George? Who?
Paul. No. He's an agent.
Oh, okay.
He's an agent,
okay.
And like, basically the way that he's been moving, he's been giving more and more power to the players, making sure that college players can get
paid for that was
and,
big.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's just the way that he's moving is just very empowering. Like, you know what I mean? And I think we spoke about this, and I said, like, they need a union.
Yeah, they do.
And not just not a players union, they need a black players union.
Yep.
Because And I don't care how people feel about that, or if they get offended, or why you got to separate. No, it's not separation. It's just that different things matter to black players than it does to the other players. And if that's not true, then everybody in the fucking NFL would be standing up. All the players, including the white players, would be saying this shit ain't right. What you're doing to Cap is not right, and we're gonna stop playing until you niggas give him a job, because he's still talented, he's still ready to play, and what you're doing isn't right. But for most for the white players, it doesn't matter. Like, Absolutely. They understand what is going on, and they feel for it or whatever, but it doesn't affect them, so they don't care. The black players, the ones who care, and wish they could do something, but
they're scared to lose their job.
They're scared to lose their job.
Take care of their family.
They got to take care of their family.
Right.
So if there was a black players union, and all of the celebrities who are about black power, and all of the sports players who are about black power, and all of the black players who are part of the union, all pay into this union every year, whatever they can, then now we can go on strike.
Right.
Now all of the black players could, like, you could speak to the black players and say, like, you know what, if you guys want to speak about political issues, if you want to be able to protest and say,
you'll be able to put their money
use
behind
your voice, then let's go on strike, and we'll make sure that your mortgages are paid. We'll make sure that food stays in your fridge. We'll make sure that your families are good. You guys can't live the same extravagant lifestyle. You're gonna have to tone it down a little bit.
Until things get right. That's how unions work.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. But like empower people. Like, we need that, man. And I think Jay moving into the NFL,
sports management.
Yeah, I think that's a power move, and we have to give him the benefit of the doubt, because he's always done stuff.
What has he done with that lately? Like, have you heard anything? Have you heard him moving in certain directions with that?
Sometimes it takes time. You know what I mean? Like, think about how long it took Jay to get where he's at right now. Like, You know what I mean? Like, he didn't just start off, like, making these huge-ass power moves. He started off with Rockefeller. Rockefeller ran for about, 5 to 6 years, and then he started transforming and sold Rockefeller to Def Jam, then ended up becoming the president of Def Jam, and then he moved on to, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he made these, started making these shifts that started elevating his climb and the amount of things that he can do. Now, as a billionaire, he has a lot of, you know what I mean, a lot of pull, but he's in a league where he's the poorest person. Like, all of these NFL owners and stuff are like multi-billionaires. Like, you know what I mean? So now he's working his way through the ranks of this. So it may take him 2-3 years to actually start affecting some type of change inside of the institution. I don't expect it to happen immediately. Like, you know what I mean? But who knows? He probably had something to do with Cap getting that workout. And he probably thought it was going to turn out a completely different way. I think if he was disappointed at anything, he might have been disappointed in the way that the NFL tried to play it, because he probably thought he was getting a fair shake. All right, Jay, we're going to give him a tryout. Thank you.
Well, I mean, after he talked to Roger Goodell.
Yeah, you know
what I mean? Like,
all right, Jay, we're going to give him a tryout. Okay, thank you, appreciate that. And then they do this sneaky ass shit with the contracts and stuff, and it doesn't turn away, and he might not have even understood it too. You might have, his first impression might have been like my first impression, like, what the fuck is wrong with you, B? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then hearing about what really happened, maybe he, had a different opinion, if he has anything to do with this at all. But I just think it's unfortunate what's going on with Cap, and
I definitely agree with you. I definitely think there needs to be a players union, black players union, in every sport. Yep. Not necessarily just basketball, football. It needs to be one in baseball too. It just needs to be one union for all of these players to be able to voice their concerns and work together in unison, so that when things like this happen, they're able to work through that and get some type of justice for it.
Yep.
This shit is crazy. I don't know how it works, but how do we know the black players aren't getting paid less than the white players?
Nah, that's definitely not happening.
How do you know that's not happening? How do you know?
Because they're always like, anytime it's some type of record-breaking, contract being dished out, it's the, you know what I mean, like, I don't want to sound racist, but like, let's just be honest. Like, the most athletic players are the black players, the players that people are coming to see because they're the ones doing all the moves upfield or whatever, or down court or whatever the case may be, except for maybe baseball. Like, you know what I mean, baseball is more evenly where, like, you know, everybody's getting high
Baseball is the highest paying sport.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everybody's getting big checks. Like, you know, white players are getting big checks, and even in NFL, probably the quarterbacks, and a majority of the quarterbacks are white. That's been changing lately. You know what I mean? But, like, you know, the majority of the quarterbacks have been white, and I believe quarterbacks get a lot of money, but, you know, running backs as well, and you know what I mean, all that type of stuff. Like, but like these big checks are going. You know, I think it would have already been publicized if, you know what I mean, white players were tending to get more money than the black players. Like, we already went through the highest paid. We went through the list of the highest paid NBA players and stuff yesterday.
I'm talking about specifically in football, though.
In football?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would think it would be the black players as well. We could look at that. There's probably a couple, you know, like, because like I said, like the quarterbacks are considered like the leaders of the team, right? The people who like kind of guide everything, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, they're gonna probably get big chunks of money as well. I'm not so concerned about the pay, man. I'm just concerned about the freedom of the people.
Oh, definitely.
Like the people, you know what I mean, of them, their ability to speak out. Like,
I mean, that's the air of the environment right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, basically, that's everywhere. Everybody's First Amendment rights. Like, the dude who just got fired on air for talking ill about Trump.
Yeah.
He got fired mid-air.
What?
For talking about Trump. The production manager came in and
told them that story, man. Tell them that story. That shit is crazy.
This dude, I have to find the story, you guys. It's, I think it was it CNN? I want to say it was CNN. I might be wrong. Basically, a radio anchor a couple of days ago he was in an interview with one of the congressmen, and they were talking about Trump, and they were talking about their disgust for him, you know, talking ill about it. And basically, the production manager came in, you know, and he fired him while he was on the air. He told him he was out of there.
What state was it in? Because it was one of those Trump states, no?
I'm pulling it up right now.
I think it's like Idaho or some shit, like somewhere where he's really popular.
Anchor gets fired.
By the way, I'm running through these NFL players right now, and yeah, it's pretty even between the black players and the white players. They both are getting buku bread. You know what I mean? Pretty even. And they should get paid. Like, you know what I mean? Whether you're white, black, or Latino, as long as you're performing at a high level in your sport, you should get paid.
About Trump. Hopefully it comes up.
It's a radio host, right? Radio host.
Yeah.
Fired.
Denver radio host fired in mid-show after criticizing Trump.
There you go.
Denver is a blue state.
Is it?
It is. It's a majority blue state.
Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Craig Silverman, who said he felt frozen out of a station that solidly backed the president, had angered managers over appearances of competing media, has been fired mid-air through his 3-hour show on Saturday after a segment criticizing President Trump. Suddenly cut away to news, and station's operations manager walked into the studio and told him that you were done.
And this is scary. Let's get in.
You can't no First and Second Amendment rights, dude.
Let's get into that now, because this is starting to get scary, and I speak about this all the time, but there should always be a level of civil dissent when it comes to politics, where people in society are allowed to peacefully disagree with the status quo and express themselves. Now, if opinion media, because he obviously wasn't a news reporter or nothing, he's just an opinion host voicing his opinion. Mm-hmm. So now when different media people are being silenced and bullied by the president's tweeting about them, and he has these fucking insane followers who are willing to do whatever to fucking, support him, and some of them are very loose up top, not screwed in properly. Mm-mm. These are people who might show up at this guy's house, fucking do something to him, something to his family. It's irresponsible. The things that are taking place right now.
He has a cult. He has a cult following.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Who said that? Scaramucci. Mm-hmm. Scaramucci was his media director for about 11 days before he was fired unceremoniously. You know what I mean? And he was saying, if you actually check because there's lists that will tell you what to look for in a cult, because people get involved in cults all the time, so there's lists that tell you how to identify if your child is part of a cult or whatever the case may be. And every talking point, there's about 5 points. Every single point are points that Trump uses in order to create his following. If you look at the Nazi talking points, how Hitler was able to create Nazism, these extreme views that nobody in the country was willing to fight against. All of those principles were all the way that he moves, all of those things are the exact same. The way that he's moving is the exact same. And I've been telling everybody that if we don't vote him out of office this year, I think it's a wrap for America, because he's disrespecting the Constitution.
He's blatantly ignoring the Constitution. It's like it doesn't even. He's trying to rewrite it. It's like it doesn't even matter. It's not even there for him.
Right. So if the first time you get in trouble, they do a 2-year investigation, you beat that, and then it's right after you go and do something illegal again, that's diminishing to the Constitution, and nobody is pulling you back. Your entire party is supporting all of the fuck shit that you do, and that your entire party is supporting the fuck shit that you do, and you end up beating your impeachment inquiry, and you win the presidency again for another year. The way that you're gonna move is gonna be you know what I mean? If you thought he was reckless now, it's just only gonna get worse.
Oh, it's gonna get way worse. He's gonna be that's all dictator energy right there. He's gonna do whatever the fuck he wants to after that. He knows he can. He can get away with it.
Facts.
I mean, there's literally no line for him to not cross after that.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, you guys, but I have to move after that. There's no way I'm spending another 4 years here with that. I can't.
Yeah, it's gonna get bad, man.
It's gonna get really bad.
It's gonna be bad. But anyhow, we're up to 45 minutes right now. I don't know if we would really want to continue that long on our first podcast.
I think this is good for our first podcast. I mean,
we're finding our footing.
Yeah, we're finding our footing. I think we touched on a couple of pretty good topics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those topics, they resonate with you. Maybe you follow those topics. Maybe you don't. Maybe they're interesting. Maybe they weren't. But like I said, we kind of talk about everything. I mean, literally, if we weren't recording this, we'd be talking about this without you guys.
Right.
Anyway,
These are conversations that we have all the time.
So I appreciate you guys for tapping in and listening. We'll try to drop. I want to try to do maybe 2 a week, if not 3, maybe 2.
Yeah.
If we're not totally busy, maybe definitely 1 at least a week. Yeah. 1 or 2 a week. But I appreciate you tapping in. Don't forget to follow his page.
At Sense, aka New Kid.
At Instagram.
Yeah, that's on Instagram. That's on Twitter. I don't use anything else but Instagram, so you could follow me on all these things, but I won't be on there. But yeah, go feel.
He's got his hip hop spiritual page.
Yeah, I got my at hip hop spiritual, and those are my 2 main pages that I use. I have another page, but that's not relevant right now. So at Sense, SENSE, aka New Kid, and at hip hop spiritual, HIPHOP. And then you know how to spell spiritual. So
you guys know where to find me. Tap into my AmeenahLaEsoterica.com or hit me up on my page. Slide on my DMs if you have any questions. Slide in his DMs too. I appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you. Bless up.
Peace.